Hello, welcome to A VOs Journey. My name is Anthony. This channel is all about helping the new and upcoming voiceover artist grow their business and sidestep all of the crazy things I seem to step on. So today, we are going to be talking about something that has been getting a lot of chatter, I know, in my group, and that I've been seeing, and that is the Fiverr spam bots. We're going to talk about it. Hopefully, I'm going to give you some tips to get around it and maybe answer some questions later on in this live today for you. So please, if you have any, just stand by. Go ahead and say hello in the chat, and I'll say hello back. But first, let's go ahead and talk about what's happening and some of the things that I've been hearing a lot about. So, recently I've been, there is an influx of new people coming to Fiverr, right? The word is out. Fiverr is doing fantastic. I mean, there's people making an extremely large amount of money. And I think what's happening now is more people are starting to make money. I know from the people that I coach personally, a lot of them are starting to make, thousands of dollars a month as well, which is very exciting. But what I'm seeing is that more people are making more money on Fiverr. So with that being said, there's more and more people joining. More people who have been in the industry a lot longer are starting to join Fiverr as well, which is great. I think that's wonderful. I think the more diversity there on Fiverr and the more professionals will bring even more business to Fiverr. But with that being said, what happens is that because of that influx of people, right? Unfortunately, we're going to have an influx of spam. Also, what I'm noticing too is that the influx of people in Fiverr as well, there's a lot of people coming who maybe aren't aware of how to position themselves effectively so that they're not the ones being attacked all the time by the spam bots or the all the junk that goes on. So I want to give some context to this, as well as talk about what's happening with me compared to other people, what I'm seeing when I analyze accounts from people who are really frustrated and upset about this, and then some things that you can do. So for me, I've actually seen a decrease in the amount of spam that I get. I have not gotten a lot of spam at all. And I assume that, with that being said, it's frustrating. Well, I don't assume, I know it's frustrating for other people because I listen to other people talk about how much, spam they're getting. So, I wanted to get an idea of some of the people who, bless their hearts, have been struggling with this. I've started reviewing some more Fiverr accounts, and some things I've noticed are some patterns. And some of the patterns are as follows. I've noticed that usually beginners, people who are just coming on, level 0 people are the main target. Also, I've noticed that the amount of let me how do I say this? I've noticed that they are thank you. They live, I think that's the name. Thank you very much. I've noticed that the accounts are also not as filled out as they should be. All right. So let's dive into this, because I think this is the first thing that, if you're having issues, if you're just starting out on Fiverr and you are getting spammed a lot, let's dive into this and talk a little bit about Fiverr and how Fiverr is set up and how it is quite different, I think, than other sites. So, perfect example. I just signed up for, well, I've signed, I'm signed up for Voice 123. I just signed up for Voice Realm and the Voice Realm, and so and I'm on multiple different sites. The reason why I bring these sites up is because as you go through these sites, and I'm sure many of you are too, you notice that the availability to actually communicate with clients is limited. Also, the availability for you in your profile, like for you to have more availability to tailor your profile to what you offer, is limited as well. correct? So I know like on the voice realm, when I was going through there, I just had like, I don't know, it was like 35, it was like 350 characters or something that I could put on for my description, and that was it. And then everything else was either demos, a headshot, that's all. And then it had a couple things that I would offer, but that was boxes to check. So like just very limited, right? Voices 1, 2, 3. Yes, there's a huge box. You can write all kinds of stuff, but then as you go down, it's again check boxes, and that fills it out for you. All right, and you deal with auditions that are sent to you through Voices 1, 2, 3. So it's and like Voice Bunny, you don't even contact people at all. Like you don't even have any contact with them. It's all dealt through Voice Bunny, which is owned by Voice 1, 2, 3. All right. Voices.com. Of course, again, these places, these sites are agencies, right? They're agencies, and that's fine. Fiverr really acts a lot differently in the idea that Fiverr markets people to come to Fiverr, but once they get on the site, they can do whatever they want, and it's up to us to sell, right? So with that being said, you have to understand that the people coming to Fiverr, you know what I mean? Those people who you might be getting spammed too, they could be spamming tons of people. That could be, definitely an like a broad attack, okay, that they're also doing. But the reason why I'm laying all that context is because what happens, or at least what I'm seeing, is that when you come on and you fill out your profile and you start putting stuff on Fiverr, the more that you can add, the more that you can separate yourself from the low hanging fruit. Okay. Meaning that your description is completely filled out. All right. Your description is completely filled out. Your picture and your video, everything is done to specs, meaning that the frame is completely filled out properly. You've done, your titles are filled out correctly. All of your extras, your FAQs, your tags, you are being active when it comes to the rankings, meaning that maybe you're promoting your Fiverr gig. Maybe so you're getting traffic. You're doing the 10, you're trying to get at least 10 a day on the buyer requests. You're actively going in there and tweaking. You're adding more gigs to your profile. And what this does, of course, is it moves you up the ranking, but also it sends a message, okay, that is not, you're not a person who you are going to be affected by this. Second, you need to immediately hit the spam button. And I think what happens is for like people like me, the reason why I'm not getting spam and a lot of you are, is because they're going to you first. And a lot of you are hitting the spam button. A lot of you are reporting these people. So they don't get to those people. But at the same time, a lot of them who come to us, they know automatically that we are going to report them. We're not even going to deal with them. So the key here is that you report these people, you deal with these people effectively, and you pay attention. It's a pain in the butt. I'm not going to lie to you. I know it sucks. You can minimize it by really trying to fill out your stuff as much as possible, separate yourself from the other and I'm going to say this, and I don't say it, I say it with love, but maybe the non-professional looking people on Fiverr, meaning that, let me say that differently. The people who haven't kind of got everything understood how Fiverr works yet. Okay. And fully filling this stuff out. I say this because I think people get frustrated too when they come on Fiverr, because they're like, why do I need to fill out more than a couple sentences? I offer a voiceover. Here's my demo, go. That's kind of like how we've done it in the past. But I want you to understand that Fiverr and most of the internet is like Amazon. It's the Amazon effect, meaning you have got to consider the fact that people are going to come on to Fiverr and to other places, and they may not want to talk to you. They may not. They might not have time. They don't want to know what you have to say. They want to know what other people have to say, because when we buy stuff from Amazon or online, we look at reviews. We don't talk to the people who are selling the product. We look at what other people who have bought the product say. They want to look at all of the things that you are creating a system for them through what you've written down. If you only write a couple of sentences, it's not very customer friendly. Meaning that if I was going to go to your service and you write down, I offer male voiceovers for you, and please contact me if you have any questions. Well, that's like, so that means I got to contact you to know anything about you or your business or what you offer or anything like that. On top of that, maybe I'm new to Fiverr, or maybe I'm new to buying voiceovers. I get like today I've had now, earlier I posted I had $300. Now I've had over $500 of orders today. And that happens regularly to me. But those days, like, I get a lot of new people who come to me and say, hey, I'm brand new. I've never purchased voiceovers on Fiverr before. This is important because more and more businesses are coming. And this is the thing. This is why you probably don't see a lot of top rated sellers talking about this either, because they promote top rated sellers a lot more, right? Because we're further along up the chain. And I get to see like all these people communicating with me. I'm seeing a lot of data, which is why I'm trying to relay it to you. So many new businesses who haven't usually purchased from Fiverr or online or done things like that are coming. All right. And I know it for a fact because they're telling me. I work for this media company. We've never purchased from Fiverr, but we want to try because we like the turnaround, the platform, et cetera, et cetera. I get that every single day. That's why I'm so bullish on Fiverr. Okay. But to get past all of the other spam stuff, you've got to be quick and fast and just nail it. Report done. Once you hit that report, you don't even have to reply to them. Okay. And also make sure you are constantly make sure you're sending stuff to the customer support. Now, I want to tell you, I have gotten tons of spam over the lifetime of being there. And maybe it is also, sadly, maybe it is also the price that we have to deal with being on the internet. Because I'll be honest with you, I get how many phone calls? Okay, we want to talk about spam. I get multiple phone calls a day from spam people trying to scam, people trying to do stuff. If you don't, you are lucky. But I know most people get multiple phone calls a day. We either don't pick up, we pick up and it hangs up. It's bots trying to call and get numbers. All right. We go on Facebook. People are hacking accounts constantly. People are, I get at least a couple a week that I know is suspicious. I just got another one yesterday. If someone sent me, that thing where they go around and somebody's account's been hacked because they send you something and says, hey, you're in this video. I know you've probably seen those because it's happened to me a couple times. And the first time I was like, oh boy, I'm in a video, because we do video narration. But I realized quickly that was not what I wanted to be doing, because once I clicked on it, it was like, please download this. Like, no. Where I'm going with this is, the sad truth is, doing business on the internet, the way we are trying to do business, that's what we have to deal with. And I think as long as you can start to put a system in place where you can limit yourself to that, show people that that's not, you're not going to be, that low-lying fruit, that could really help out. But I fear that no matter anything that we all do, those people are just going to exist. Fiverr has done a good job of trying, but I've definitely noticed there's a lot more people who I'm hearing talking about that, especially just in my group. But it's interesting because the people I coach, I'm not seeing that influx for them, but that doesn't mean anything. It could mean that they're further along up the process, up level 1, level 2, etc. Okay. Now I do want to point out one more thing, and I do think that it is so important that you do not try to ignore it, because if you try to ignore it, you will get dinged if you don't spam it. Right? If you don't spam it, if you don't put, an issue with something, I'm going to tell you the truth. I've replied to people where I thought they were spam, but I was just worried I was going to get my account, dinged. I'll reply and then I'll hit the spam. You've got to do what you've got to do in order to make this work. Okay. Contact customer support, hit the spam report button, even if you got a reply. Like sometimes, and by the way, this is the crazy thing. I know if you've identified a pattern, great. You know the pattern, hit the spam button. There are times occasionally where people just honestly don't know how to work Fiverr. Now, if that doesn't include you, you're like, look, no, Anthony, these are spam. Totally cool. But there are times where I've worked with people who have absolutely do not understand because they're new to Fiverr. They don't understand how these platforms really push hard to keep all of their information on, they don't want you dealing off of the platform. So they're not aware of that too. So I've run across that a couple of times and I've had to work with them, but you can kind of sniff that out based on the information they give you, right? Like I saw somebody posted in the group something about, that's look at that one that person posted in the group. It was a snapshot of a Fiverr spam, and it was I have I'll pay you like $150 a month. We have lots of business. That might be new to you, but I have seen that since the years I've been on Fiverr, I've seen that hundreds of times. I'm not belittling, please don't get me wrong. I'm not belittling what you're going through. I'm just letting you know it's like the price of business doing work online. That's another price that we have to manage doing work online, dealing with jerks. Okay. So I hope that at least tells you that it's out there. It's part of what we got to deal with. You can limit it by working very hard to increase the professionalism of your account, meaning filling it out as much as you can, being more active, which will raise you in the rankings, which will help you not be the people that are targeted all the time. But make sure you continue spamming, make sure you hit those spam button, make sure you hit that stuff, contact customer support, et cetera, et cetera. Keep pushing. All right. I want to answer some questions. I want to, talk to, if you've got something going on or you want to know what's happening. By the way, I know all of me, including myself. I've had to contact customer support multiple times because it got screwed up. Fiverr, screwed it up, and I got dinged on my account. I mean, we've all been through it. So I don't want you to think you're alone in this battle. But at the same time, I just want you to be aware that, don't give up. You don't need to complain about it. Just push forward, be aware of it, and do your very best to, try to limit it, I guess is what the best advice is. All right. So let me look over here and see what's going on. Please, if you've got questions, go ahead and post them over here. I'd love to answer them for you. Hello, Anthony. I love the YouTube channel, learning so much from you. Your channel has been a blessing. I got some spam just today on Fiverr asking for Skype and Google phone info. That's a big thing. That's happening a lot. And a big reason for that too is because what I'm finding is there's also a lot of people doing a lot of work through Fiverr for Google phone and like voicemail. So that's important to be aware of too, that people are. So I think it's becoming more well known that there's a lot more things that you can do, especially through Skype and things like that, that we might not know about, but people are picking up on. So Ari, hey buddy, says they realize you, Anthony, are probably quicker to recognize the scam due to your experience tenure on Fiverr. New people unexpecting prey. It could be, absolutely, it could be. And I think what's happening is especially if you're newer, you're more worried. You want business more. I'm not that I don't want business, but like, for example, today, I think I've turned away like 4 people who didn't want to pay my rates. And it just because, I understand, but I don't do that anymore. Before, when I was first starting out, I would negotiate all the time. And sometimes I do, but I don't have time for that anymore. But when I first started, please negotiate, because that's how you build your brand, and then you get to a place where you don't have to anymore. All right. But if I didn't have all this in my queue and I was like, crickets are flying and birds are chirping around, I probably would be negotiating prices. Do you know what I'm saying? And if it's like a couple $100 and they're upset about $20, I'll take 180 instead of 200. But if we're talking like someone who's complaining about, like it's $100 job and they only want to pay $25, I'm not, I'm not going to do that. At one time, I probably did. And that's not belittling me or what we do. It's just the fact that you're just starting out, especially on online. So this whole thing is a challenge with the pricing, but that's a different video. I don't want to get into that. So let's keep looking at this. All right. Chuck says, your theory makes sense. I've had exactly one instance of spam recently. A guy wanted to do business, but he said it was urgent. I said, I have a session coming up. It might be available in 3 hours, but he asked me to let him know. When I went back to tell him I was available, his account had been deleted. Yeah. Yeah. Probably what was happening, Chuck, too, is he was going around spamming people to get stuff done. There was a dude going around. Well, I don't dudette, whatever. There was someone going around and they were going to each, like and I knew they were spamming this, but they were going and saying, I have a job for $5. I don't know if any of you see that. And they said, I've messaged 10 other people. And if you're willing to do the job for $5, you can do it. You know what I mean? And I'm like, what is this? So like the first time they went through, I messaged them back and said, thank you. My rates are, 150 words for $20, et cetera, and commercial rights are another 25. And then nothing, right? I sent in a custom offer. Then they came back again for another script, again for $5. I was like, I hit the spam. And I hit the block. So I'm not going to play that game. So that person was either I don't think they were spamming. I think they were they were spamming, but they were trying to probably just, get cheap rates as much as they can by spamming out so they're actually paying, but that was annoying. Don't do that. So, let's see. I've reported one dude with the same approach under different names 4 or 5 times previously. Some of these people are relentless. But you know what? I know Upwork, for example. Those people who are on Upwork's a nightmare. And then those people who run scams through Upwork, right? And then try to do different things. I mean, there's just so much out there, you guys. It's an unfortunate part about being online, but that's kind of like what we have to deal with. Jeremy says the saying, if it's too good to be true, can be applied here, but there are always exceptions. There are. Here's a tip for you. The context matters, right? So if someone messages you and in their message, the context of the message looks like, hey, listen, I have a script. It's 150 words. I'm not sure exactly how to use Fiverr. Here's my telephone number. Maybe you could give me a call. I usually work over here. Like the context matters, right? Like if someone messaged me that, I would be a lot more willing to talk with them or message them back and not hit the spam and say, hey, I totally understand. Fiverr is a different way of doing business on, and we have to keep the stuff online, but I'm willing to work with you here. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, so the context matters. But if someone then messages me and says, hey, I have a job. What is that? A job. I have a job for you for, $100. I'm going to pay you. By the way, when I first started, and maybe you guys can relate to this, do you know how many people I heard from this one thing? So many. This is what they would say to me. If you only charge me $5, I have tons of work for you. Do you know there were so many people who said that? So many. I mean, if you know what I'm talking about, and people said, just charge me $5 or $10 this time, and I've got so much work for you every single month on a regular basis. So many people said that junk. After a while, I'm like, whatever, dude. I don't need your lies. But the point is that, it's stuff that happens. People don't say that to me now. And if they do, I'm like, I don't care. You know what I mean? Or actually, that's not true. If someone does say that, I will say, great. Let's put a bulk order together right now. Tell me how many scripts you need. You need 30? Great. I'll charge you for 25, but I'll send them an entire bulk order, right? Because I'm not going to play that game unless they've ordered a whole bunch from me already. If somebody's ordered 20, jobs from you, because I have customers who've ordered 50, hundreds of jobs from me. You know what I mean? Like you can, but the context matters. All right. Let's see. Paul says, "Hey Anthony, will you take a revisions question here, or do these questions need to be just about spam?" Nope, you can send a revisions question. Sure. What's your question? What's your question, Paul? Absolutely. Revisions are a really good thing to talk about because I notice a lot of people on Fiverr make mistakes on revisions, meaning that you get sucked into revisions. Here's a perfect example. Let's say that you become disgruntled with the revision process. So you're like, you know what? I'm not giving free revisions anymore. I'm going to charge $5. Just start off with $5 for revision. Great. So then somebody comes back and they're like, okay, they need a revision, and they purchase your $5. Let's say the job was, 1,000 words. Okay. And they purchase a revision. And when they come back, the revision is, hey, we sent this to our marketing team, and it went up to the boardroom, and they decided that we needed to, kind of go a different direction with the script. So here's the new script. We want you to read the whole thing over again. 1,000 words. And you're like, well, you're going to have to pay. And they're like, hey, well, we purchased a revision. Like, you paid $5 and they want you to do the whole thing over again. This is a common mistake I see a lot of people doing. Okay. And this is where the FAQ section, this is where your description, this is where your requirements section, this is where all these things come in. All right. So, Paul, what's your question, brother? I know sometimes it takes a while. I don't know if he just dipped out. Said Anthony's long-winded. I'll wait a few more seconds. Everybody else has any other questions? I guess the thing about the revisions is what I was going to say is that make sure you're specific, right? Make sure you are specific about how many words are going to be in your revisions. So important. Don't just offer revisions willy-nilly without being specific. And by the way, don't think because you are not being specific, or because you are giving it away, or you're not giving it away now and you are limiting it, that people are going to be upset with you. They're actually not. People will actually trust you more when they know the expectations up front. It is so important. Whenever I can, I try to update my expectations. Now, I try to make them as easily understood as possible, but I really try to make sure there's as many expectations up front so that the customer and I never have an issue. That's one thing that I've learned for many years, is there's eliminated so many of the issues I had as a beginner, is my expectations on multiple places on Fiverr. My requirements page is so important, which no one sees, right? Because that's on the back end of when you purchase. But your requirements is so important. Your description, your FAQs, your facts, your extras. All of these reinforce messages that you want your clients to know, which will eliminate your problems. See, this is what Fiverr is different than so many other places, because those other places, you don't really have the luxury to, the other places don't purchase like Fiverr. Fiverr, like I said, Fiverr is a lot like Amazon in their purchasing, because Fiverr has productized voiceover and business services in general. Okay, so we are offering products now, even though it's a service, but they are making it into products. And because it's a product, right, you have to approach it in that format, just like Amazon has changed the world. Okay, that's what online business is now. Okay, well, Paul must have dipped or didn't get his question in, because I didn't see him. So thank you guys so much. This was a long one, and I know some of you all, again, are really frustrated about the span, and I am sorry about that. But keep your heads up. Don't give up on Fiverr, because it is well worth it. Okay, but whatever you do, please put the amount of effort into Fiverr, into your accounts, even if it's not Fiverr. Even if it's, because I know I'm talking about Fiverr today, but I was going to talk about, Voices 123 as well, and things about samples and updating your stuff. It's so important to update your stuff. Every single site I join that, they always preach, every single one, update your stuff. Be active on your profile. Put more samples on. Do more things. You can put up to 3 samples including your video in Fiverr. Did you know that, right? So if and then the samples, not your video, but your samples can each be like, I mean, for now, I don't know about you, but as a top rated seller, each one of mine can be 3 minutes and 30 minutes, 3 minutes and 30 minutes, 3 minutes and 30 seconds. You might be a minute or so or a minute and a half, but you can do that on each one. Oh, Paul came back. Okay. Do you see what I mean? So don't be afraid to fill it out. Plus, you have PDF files that you can fill out. All right. Paul says, one thing I'm not sure how I'm going to handle is if they ask me to revise an entire order, but they only want me to revise it in certain places. Am I responsible for going back and editing the file? I'm trying to figure out exactly what you mean by this, Paul. What I'm thinking you mean is if someone comes to you and you've done like, 500 words maybe, and there's about, 5 or 6 words throughout that they want to change, or maybe 2 word places here or there. Do you, or maybe 2 sentences, do you go back and change the whole file itself and add those in, or do you just send them the separate sentences? I'm guessing that's what you're asking. If it's not, please make sure will you go back and edit the file, or do you normally just reread the part they want reread and it's up to them to edit? Oh, yeah. So we were on the same page. So ask them. Okay. I typically will just go back and put it in, but a lot of times they will specifically say, just send me the sentences, I'll put it in there. A lot of times though, you will get people who don't even know how to do this. That's why they're coming to us as well. So like a lot of times I'll include, like, especially if there's a couple different things. I know for a fact now that I actually try to divide up, even if they don't understand. Because remember, guys, we are in customer service too. Like, I mean, we got to be nice to these people, because a lot of these people are not trying to scam us. They're just newbies and they don't know what they're doing. And I'm, quite frankly, I'm happy that they are paying me to do voiceover and not someone else. But the reality is a lot of times they don't even know how to split a file. They don't even know how to edit. Okay. They don't have that software. They don't understand it. So we have to help them. A lot of times, Paul, I do get a lot of customers who just want me to do the sentence and send them a sentence. I will default always to fixing the entire file, though. I hope that answers your question. All right. That's my default, unless otherwise stated. If it's a lot, I will message them and tell them, do you want me to, put these in to the sentences, or will you do it yourself? Okay. The more people you deal with, the more experienced people, they usually are pretty good about telling you what they want. But if not, then you definitely need to ask, but default to doing the file. Let's see. Chuck says that's generally my policy as well. Yeah. Awesome, you guys. Well, hey, thank you for sticking around. This one was a long one. I hope there was some good for you. And as always, thank you so much. Tomorrow, I have to go to Richmond, take my son to the Algist. So that's at 2:00. So I'll probably have to leave at 1. So I might not be able to do my 1:00 tomorrow, but I will be back on Wednesday. All right. So I want to thank everybody again. Please like, share, follow, hit that notification bell. Thank you so much. You guys have a wonderful day. Keep hitting it hard. Talk to you soon. All right. Bye, you guys.